Hi everyone, time for another Keep Talking project update. And here we are in December 2024, marking nearly 5 years of this project. I didn't think I would get sucked into such a big project and spend so long on this, but it has become a bit of a passion project of mine that I've been squeezing in around other commitments, my job, things like that. So, it has taken a while. I've had to put it down when things have got busy in life, but I'm glad that I have stuck with it. It's been quite testing, but here we are. So the update today is that the game is now playable, and it has been somewhat playable before. You've been seeing previous videos of mine where I've been, testing each module as I've been building them, and you can see them roughly work. But some of those modules were built and coded, maybe 2, 3, possibly even 4 years ago for some of the earlier and more simplistic ones. So, over time, as things have progressed, some things have maybe broken along the way when I've been adding more features or making things more robust. And, some mistakes have slipped under the radar. So, doing some of the testing recently, I've uncovered a lot of those problems and then fixed them. But now it's got to the stage where I have completed the to-do list for this year, and for the kind of initial release, I guess you would say. I don't really have an end goal. Obviously, I want to try and make the game or make replica of the Keep Talking game as much as I possibly can. But where do you stop with that? I could produce so many modules, so many modded modules, and I can have like 6 copies of each one. So where we are at the moment is we've got 10 modules all built and ready. Most of them, all but one actually, have 2 copies. So you can run 2 buttons, 2 wires, 2 keypads, for example. So it gives a little bit of variety. It's not just one of each module. But those are all, ready. They're programmed, they're built, wired, assembled, and we can play them today. I've also been doing a little bit of polish on things like the phone app because Complicated Wires was completed relatively recently, so that needs to be accounted for in the code, as well as I got a new phone, and the latest version of Android didn't work well with what I built previously, so I needed to do a little bit of polish on that. And really, there's been just that extra level of polish that I've needed to do to really make things work and look good. So, for example, the widgets have been somewhat abandoned for quite a while. Well, I've got stickers for the batteries, they look good, and also got the indicator labels ready as well, so we can actually play that rather than having to guess or remember what the edge work is. And more recently as well, let me just grab this. So in recent testing, Morse had big problems. Morse is quite a complicated module because not only have you got simple things like the lights, but we've got an OLED screen and a motor which moves this needle backwards and forwards. And all of that was just a bit too much for one module to take in terms of the power requirements. And if I plugged this into the BOM, a couple of weeks ago, it would have just browned out the whole thing, and it would have completely stopped. So the solution to that was a little access port in here, which now receives a 9-volt battery. So you can slot that inside, which powers the motor driver, and then the 5 volts from the BOM can run the rest of it no problem. So a little bit extra on the inside of that. It's getting quite a chunky, heavy module now, but Morse is now fully playable, as well as passwords, which again had been wired on the breadboard quite a long time ago, but didn't get much love from me. The reason was I did print some extra PCBs for the inside for a lot of these buttons, just to make it simpler. I needed to get the graphic LCD display as well to design, the hole around, to design the PCB around, and then again redo the buttons, because using a PCB, which I wasn't originally going to do, meant that I needed to guess the standoff between where the buttons should be and where the actual switches are inside. So that took a lot of trial and error to fine tune that, so you've got a nice, tactile response there. which all works fine. Not only that as well, actually, a lot of the detailing, so basically spray paint some ribbon cable on the side there, just makes it pop like the game does. So yeah, really happy that I've just finally spent a little bit of time to bring this up to scratch and finish it off, because it's been the poor module. It's not got a lot of love over the past few years, but that's all ready. I've got 2 of those ready and willing to go. So where are we now? As I said, the game is fully playable. I've found a lot of the debug features and little bugs that have been introduced over the past few years. So the game is ready to go, and I'll show you that just now. Okay, let's have a quick test game to show you how it all works. So the first thing you have to do is select the modules that you want to play with. So unlike in the game where you have the whatever you want to call it, mission list, where you work your way through it and it gives you more and more challenging bombs to defuse. I don't have anything like that just yet. That's something I would like to add to the phone app eventually. But for the moment, it's up to the player to decide which modules they want. So for this, I've selected 5 to add. So we'll add these to the game to play with, and they can be added in any order, in any slot. It's up to the user to pick where they go. And we've got 12 slots here, but I'll just use the front face so we can see everything here without me having to move the bomb around too much. So let me add these. And you'll see that you do get lights coming on with little animation perhaps. But this is really good to just test that things like the displays are working, the lights are working. And it's not perfect as like a debug tool, because you can't tell if the buttons are working or not. But if you see the green light and you see the lights coming on and the displays coming on, that you've got some confidence that the module's working, it's going to communicate, and you're not going to start a game and it's going to fall over, which would be really bad. Okay, so we've got the 5 modules in, we've got 5 green lights there on each of them, so happy that it looks like it's going to work. So the next thing we need to do is go to our phone app. Let me just connect to the bomb, which it looks like it's already done. You see the lights go out there as I finish connecting to it and go to the game manager. So the game manager, it does what it says on the tin really. It's probably won't be able to see that very well, and you get reflections, but nearly focused. You can see at the top here, you've got the modules, so we can see the 5 modules there. It's got Simon, Keypad, etc. So we are confident that everything's talking to each other, and all the modules are recognized that we hope will be there. So that's just a good bit of feedback for the user. And then we've got things that the user can influence. So you can set whether this is hardcore or not, so whether you get 3 strikes or 1, and also the time. So default's 5 minutes. I'm going to change this to 8, just to give myself a bit more time to solve the bomb. And not a speed run today. I've got the manual up on my screen and I'll solve it just by myself today. But I want to take my time. I'll explain it and talk it through in slow time, so give myself 8 minutes. Okay, so after we've got the modules installed, next we have to move on to the manual setup. And that's going to start with the widgets. So if I press manual setup, we get a little readout, again, reflections, a readout of the widgets to add to the bomb. So this isn't up to the user to do. The bomb will generate the widgets and the user will add those. The bomb can't detect what's been added, so you have to follow what the game is asking you to add on. And again, the game's generating this rather than it being up to the user, because the user can influence what the solutions might be. So if you know what the solutions for having 2 or more batteries on, you'd want to add 2 or more batteries to make sure the rules line up with what you remember. So to take that out of people's hands, and so people can't influence that, the BOM generates all of the widgets and we just add them. So we need, first of all, a AA. I'll just put them down here. Another AA and a D battery. We also need a blank port. So when it comes to the rules, the serial port and the parallel port influence what might happen to a particular module. We've also got blanks, so it can either be completely blank or one of these ones, which has got anything other than a serial or parallel port on. So I'll just pick that. Next, we need an indicator. Look like this. We've now got the stickers for them, or labels. So these do slide out. I can show you a little bit. So I've got 4 of these. You can slide in and out the ones you want. I know FRK does appear in the rules for button, so I've kept that to one side, but you can swap them in and out. And there's a little switch for if it's on or off, which it needs to be off. So switch on the off position, then that can just be added to the BOM. And lastly, although it doesn't come up, serial number. Every BOM has a serial number. This will influence a lot of modules. And this is e-ink, so unlike the indicators, the BOM will update that itself when we go through the setup. I would like to add e-ink to these eventually. Hindsight's great, but I'll have to get round to that at a future date. Okay, so I'll just add these to the BOM in any position. Unlike the BOM in the game, the bottom is for power, audio, and other infrastructure bits and pieces. So we can only add them to the 6 top slots or the 4 slots on the sides. Also, it's pretty hefty. It'd be a bit challenging to have to tip this over or flip it, and then again people could drop it and all of these modules are exposed, so they get damaged. So I'm not encouraging people to lift the BOM to look underneath. It's easy to scoot around on the low friction pads it has on the bottom. So just slide it around. No need to pick it up. So let me add these in random slots. Okay. Move this over. And lastly, the serial, which I'll put there. Now those are all of the widgets that are widgets, but you're left with a lot of blank holes. So we have just blank little slots that we can put in here to finish off the look of the outside of the case. And again, this doesn't actually take too long if you're trying to do it quickly. Obviously, I'm talking it through and taking my time with it, but this kind of setup's 1 to 2 minutes tops, depending on what the BOM asks you to generate. Okay. There we are. So there is our setup. We've got all the widgets ready. Don't need to add anything else to the BOM now, so that's all set. After doing that, we can hit confirm placement, and then we'll move on to the next thing we have to do, which in this case is manual setup of some of the modules, because we've got button and we've got keypads, and again, the module itself can't update the switches or can't update the button. Those are physical props that have to be added by someone, so the app tells you what needs to be added, and then we can do that. So I press confirm placement, and we'll see we've got keypads here. We've got the 4 symbols that needed to be added, and we've got a blinky light here because if we have more than one keypads module, then we need to know which of the 2 keypads modules is asking for that particular setup. So let me just have a look through my pile of pieces for the correct symbols. Another one. Okay, so I think it is the 6th column in the game if you're following along. So what I'll just do is I'll flick through this and add apps that need to be added. which is super simple because they're just magnetized. And there we go, nice and simple. So I'll just put the other keycaps to one side. And again, as we finish that, we'll just hit next, confirms that keypads stop flashing, buttons start flashing, and we've got the prompt for that. So it's looking for a blue detonate button. I will just grab that now. The downside to this is there's a lot of extra little props. So I've got a lot of widgets, buttons, keycaps everywhere, which is a bit of a pain. But again, you know, it's nice to have the physical stuff. So if I can line this up, there we go. We've got the button on. Just close that, and then we can hit confirm placement. That's the last module that needs any manual setup. The rest is all automatic. So with that, we now get the little tick box saying that everything's complete, all the manual setup's done, and we can play the game. I've just got the manual on my screen there, and I'll play the game myself, as I said. Just take you through how it all works, and if you want to follow along, you'll hopefully see that all of the rules are correct. If not, please let me know, but you know, it should be correct. I've done a lot of testing on this. So let's begin. So if I go back to the phone app, again, we've got everything set up here. If I press start, I get a couple of seconds, you know, leeway just to get in the zone, or just like in the game, it gives you a couple of seconds before it actually starts ticking. You can't really interact with it. It won't let you until the timer starts going. But again, it just gives you that moment to get in the zone. Right, so I'll just press this button. We'll wait for the timer to start and then start solving it. And I'll just say that the phone app does keep updated with the time and the strikes and the number of modules diffused. Because again, if someone's supervising someone else play it and someone's kind of moving it around, I don't know what the timer is as the supervisor. So it's nice to have this, you know, keep you updated as to what's going on. But I'll just put this to one side and let's solve it. So just going down the list of modules as they appear in the manual, we've got button. So let's remind myself a blue detonate button. So let me go through the rules really slowly. If the button is blue and says abort, which it doesn't, if there's more than one battery, which there is, I can see a battery right there, and it says detonate, press and immediately releases the button. Oh, and you can't probably see that, but we've got the green solve light there. Excellent. So let's move on to keypads next. Again, I cheated a little bit because I've got the caps on my desk there in the order that they are on the columns. So I know I'm using the far right column on the in the manual. So we have this one, psi, and then omega. There we go, another solve. And then we'll get onto sign says. So we need to know if the serial number's got a vowel. It's got an A, so it does. So we need the top table, and I think yellow is flashing. Yep. Top table, yellow flash, press green. And now I've interacted with it. Hopefully you can hear it beeping. So yellow, red, we need green, blue. Green, blue, green. Oh, and we've got a solve, so that was a nice easy sign for me. 8 minutes was far too much time. I suppose I don't have to do the communicating. Okay, the next one we have, if I scroll, is mazes. So I've got the 2 green dots there. So if you're following along with the manual, it's the bottom right one. And I need to get that dot to the triangle, which is a bit tricky. So I want to go down, along, up 2. To go right, up, up. All the way across to number 2. Down, across, and down. Solve. Perfect. And lastly, we have passwords. Okay. So I'm going to have to scroll through this, see what letters we get. I'm not as good with this. I'm struggling with this one. So it can't be a D. Oh, it could be an O. Nope. R. Right. Right. There we go. It took me far too long to find. And we've got the success chime. So obviously time has stopped. We've got all the green lights on the modules again, and we've got a little readout on the phone app. Perfect. Right, so that's our game. Now we can just press the game manager, go back, everything's reset, so we can play that again, or we can pull the modules out, put something else in, and play another game. But that's essentially it. Just goes to show that everything's working. Yeah, and it's good to go. Okay, so you just saw the demo there. Where are we now? What am I going to be doing next? It's not finished. It's very much not finished, but you know, it's at that stage where I can start to play it. I can take it places, play with friends, play at events, that kind of thing, which I'm really looking forward to because, as I said, 5 years I've been working on this project and I hadn't quite got it to that point where you could really play it because it just didn't have that little bit of polish that it really needed. So yeah, looking forward to taking a step back, taking a break from just working on this and getting to enjoy it. But that all being said, it's not finished. I have more work to do. At the moment, I've got 10 modules complete, so I am needing to complete capacitor discharge, which works on the breadboard. So the electronics and the programming is done, but it needs the module to be designed. And let me see. Work did start on this a little bit a long time ago, where I've got a little spring lever design, trying to make as much as I can there, because when it comes to something like the spring returning, you need to kind of dial in what the correct amount of force would be to make that easy to pull, but you know, strong enough to put the lever back up. So, because it's so difficult to buy springs, knowing how much force they've got, I'm going down that route. But it's very, very early days in terms of the design. But I would like another needy module, because we've got venting gas, which I didn't show you, but it's a bit of a simple one because it's just a button press. I would like something with a few more lights and, you know, interactivity. I've got plenty of other things with buttons, so it would be nice to have something with a lever, which would be good. We've got a lot of other modules that I haven't even started yet. So who's on first, knob, and wire sequences, because they're starting to push the limits of what's physically possible. I have to say that the game is amazing in terms of the design. I mean, the graphical LCD screen, it looks the part just like in the game, and the way it functions is really well represented in the game. So Steel Crate Games did a really good job at grounding the design. That being said, they've taken some creative liberties with things like wire sequences. It could get to the point where I have to really make some sacrifices to make that work. So it could be a touch screen of some description and a kind of display, rather than actual wires that need to be cut, which would be a shame. But you know, I'd rather have something work than struggle for a long time and not get that module to work. But yeah, those ones just need a little bit more time. They're a little bit more complicated, but they are on the to-do list, just in slower time. I want to savor what I've got right now. And then some extras as well. So I love the little annoying alarm clock that can sometimes go off when you're playing a game, just to distract people. That would be great. And some kind of interactivity with the environment. So something that could play music and illuminate the bombs. So again, you could get that intermittent lights out effect, which would be brilliant, because I've been quite careful with how I've designed this. if something's a screen or a light in the game and it's shining, it's a screen or a light here as well. So if it's, for example, a label or a button, or something where if the light's got, you can't read it because it's not shining, that will also be the case for my bomb as well. So a perfect example is memory. Let me grab that wherever it is. I've got a lot of modules stashed away somewhere. The top display for memory is a TFT screen, so that illuminates, that is bright. The bottom one is e-ink, so if the lights go out, you can't see this one, but you can see this one, just like in the game. So again, tried to keep that accuracy. So it would be brilliant to have the game controlling the lights as well. And then again, if you get down to 1 minute left and the room would go red in the game, it would be great to have some blinking red lights to go along with it too. So a lot of little extras that I'd love to do, as well as maybe some stretch goals. I don't have to pull this up and redesign a lot of things, but you know, with hindsight and me having developed from pretty much a complete novice in terms of electronics and all this kind of stuff, 3D printing, cards, there are a lot of things that I could have done much better than I have done. But it is difficult to want to tear up all of the progress to pursue it. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but it could be that I redesign the PCBs to make them simpler, make the module boxes more sturdy, more secure, and maybe pull up some of the code as well, just to make that a bit more scalable and to get rid of some of the small problems that did arise in the past. Almost like little landmines if I have to go back and do any changes to anything. So it'd be good to go back and just add a level of polish that I can do now. I've got a bit more experience. But yeah, the immediate plan is to have fun with it, relax, play a few games, and then get around to some of the modules that I haven't done. Also, actually, it's worth saying that I would like to try some of the modded modules. To be honest, I haven't played any modded Keep Talking, so I only have a really surface level idea of what modules exist. But you know, I'll take a look, and it's less about the gameplay for me than probably the build. So if it's got some really interesting components to it, some interesting pieces or way things move, again, isn't too challenging, I'll probably give that a go. So yeah, watch this space. I'll see what I can add to that. So that's my 5-year update. That's where we are. You might see less updates on Discord and less videos going forward, just because I want to have some fun with this now and you know, reclaim a little bit of my free time rather than just trying to get this done. Now that I've got my to-do list done and it's all in a playable state, but you know, I'm still going to be working on it. It's still going to be there. I'm still going to be doing stuff. It's just going to be at a bit more of a relaxed pace than it has been recently. But thanks very much for the support. Thanks for watching, and see you again.